Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just in case you all don't know, a little bit of news from the world of wrestling, if you will, and I quote, retired WWE legend Hulk Hogan found himself roundly booed by a stadium of wrestling fanatics on the opening night of Netflix Monday Night Raw this week. Now, allegedly, this was supposed to be a surprise appearance, but surprise, surprise, whenever he stepped out of the little, place and onto the stage, whatever, they started booing him. Now, I'm assuming that's not what he expected. Otherwise, why would he show up? But he seems like the type of arrogant that would still do so, or that wouldn't expect people to boo him despite his past and despite the things that he's done that he really not has taken accountability for. Let's just be blatantly honest. I never really cared for wrestling. I'm going to be real honest. Of course, I know about the big names like Steven Austin and The Rock, of course, because how can we not know about him? He's been shoved in our faces ever since he walked away from wrestling for quite some time now. John Cena, along with a few other ones. The Undertaker, once again, these people, they're pretty famous, so it's kind of hard not to know them. But other than that, I really don't care much for wrestling. Just like a lot of other sports, I'm not understanding why it was monetized off of people beating each other up, and it's not even real. They're like fake beating each other up, but whatever. People like to see it. A lot of people tune in. They thought it was fun to watch people fake beat each other up. It was comedy to some people. And that's not me throwing stones or judging people. I'm just trying to understand while being disturbed as to how society, our community, can monetize violence essentially and gladly do so. But anyways, everybody knows about Hulk Hogan and his shenanigans. Not just his shenanigans, but the things that he does. He's had a history of being shady. He does things. He tries to smooth it over, if that's what you can call it, but doesn't really. We all know he never really took accountability for that one time, and people were bringing this up. People were upset about him telling his daughter in that recording that basically she better not be out here dating no N-word. And if you're gonna date an N-word, at least date one that's rich. And what people don't understand is, unfortunately, this is how a lot of non-black people view black men dating, marrying, and screwing their non-black daughters. That's a conversation nobody wants to have, but we're going to bring it up once again because it's circulating in the media again. He made it a statement that he didn't want his white daughter messing around with a black man. Now, I can understand if you're the type of person who's like, okay, I want to continue my legacy. That's what most people of most races want. Most people of most ethnicities, races, whatever you want to call it, they want to continue their line. This is understandable. I am extending of grace and mercy, if you will. People might say, you're a white person, white man. Well, I love my mother. She's a white woman. I want somebody like her, a white woman who's loving, kind, etc. Some of the young white women, my white father was very strong. He was, providing, protecting us as a family. My mother, he was good to her. I want somebody like him. That's understandable. The same thing with black people. Unfortunately, you don't hear a whole lot of black people saying this too on social media, or at least it doesn't go as viral as the negative stuff. My black father was very strong. He was very proud. I want somebody like him. My black mother, she was always there for us. I want somebody like her. This is 100% understandable. What's not understandable and where a line is crossed is when you go out of your way to be racist or disrespectful for no reason. You can state that, I want to be with somebody who is of my culture without being racist and disrespectful to other cultures. It is possible to do it, even though people want to gaslight people and make it seem like you have to disrespect other people in order to get your point across. No, you don't. People just choose to do it because they want to, because they are malicious, because they're plain straight up evil. And he chose to do that because he's plain straight up evil. If he didn't want her with somebody black, he could have said, I would prefer you to be with a white man like myself. Not exactly like him. I mean, like down to the carbon copy, like someone like him. Y'all get my drift, right? He didn't have to say it the way he said it. And with him saying the N-word as many times as he did, that is that boundary that I was talking about that he crossed. He did it intentionally. He did it on purpose because that's how he feels inside. He's already racist. He already feels that way about black people. So why should he hold back when he's in private talking to his daughter? And all this bullcrap that people were trying to shove on people saying, he was in private. At least he didn't do it in public. If he'll do it in private, he'll do it in public. And that's even shady for anybody to say. Anybody who says, he did it in private, you need to question them, because what somebody does behind closed doors or in private when people cannot see them or make them act right because they're in front of people and their reputation is being jeopardized if they say what they really want to, tells a lot about a person's character. And it's very dangerous when you're dealing with people who are low-key closeted, if you will, about their racism, about their prejudices and their biases. Now, we're going to come back to this, just put a pin in that for a moment, to talk about how another reason why people are mad at him, a more recent event, is him saying or asking his fans if they wanted him to body slam Kamala Harris. Now, you don't have to like the woman. I don't care if you do. But to say you're going to body slam her, to body slam a woman, that's trash raggedy. I don't care who it is. Would you want somebody to joke about body slamming your mama? No, you wouldn't. So don't say that or do that about somebody else's mother. And she's a woman on top of that. Why would you say that? I didn't see him saying that about Hillary Clinton. Now, he could have said something like that, and I just don't know. But notice how it was Kamala, and again, not Hillary. And I get that Kamala was the one running for president, but didn't Hillary try to run for president too? Once again, did he say he wanted to body slam her? And again, I could be missing, a press conference or, one of these little raggedy WWE meetings that he had where he may have said something to that effect. But still, most of his fans who were cheering at the idea of this were Republicans, left-wing individuals, conservatives, who are also probably, some of them, racist. And a lot of people were saying, now y'all are sitting up here laughing at this man offering to body slam Kamala Harris for y'all, but it wouldn't be funny if one of these Democratic background WWE wrestlers said the same thing about Trump. Then y'all would be mad. But a lot of these people, they can dish it, but they can't take it. That's the sad part. And again, for him, as someone who has a morbidly large following, to even make them excited or offer the idea of inciting violence against somebody who's running for office, again, is trash raggedy of him. I said what I said. Now, moving back to that issue with his daughter, I told y'all before, people were really trying to gaslight people, including his own daughter, and say that, oh, he's not racist. This is what she was saying, y'all. Basically, in the little interview that she did, oh, that's not my father. I think she may have inserted something about, oh, he was like, angry, drinking. Well, not the drinking part, but definitely said, oh, he was angry at me at the time. But, when he said what he said, I know that wasn't him. He's not racist. He just said that because he was angry. That doesn't mean that he hates black people. Not him using the N-word and you defending him using the N-word. And before anybody tries to play that, oh, that's her father, she has the right to defend him. She should defend him because that's her father. When your defense is taking up for wrong, you're also in the wrong. I don't understand, why people have gotten to this place with their family members, with their spouses, with their friends, where they really think that defending somebody in their wrong is what they're supposed to do, is their loyalty to them. No, boo-boo, that makes you wrong too. You can say, this was my father, this is my father, I love him, I don't agree with what he said. I don't want people to drag him for filth. I get that, you play silly games, you get silly prizes, but he's my father. Once again, I still love him, but I don't agree with what he said. It was wrong, point blank, period. Everybody would have respected her so much more if she would have said that. But again, she chose to defend him in his wrong. It's about maturity, integrity, and respect, which clearly does not run in their family. So once again, she's just as raggedy as he is, and they still are today because they never really took accountability for that. This one person on YouTube said, and I quote, "I don't care how mad I am, I'm not going to say anything bad about another race," end quote. What is so hard for people to understand? It's like she really was playing in people's faces, treating them like they were stupid, like, once again, we don't know, or we didn't know that if he was mad at her over something, once again, he didn't have the right to say something racist about black people. Again, if you don't want your daughter to date somebody black, just tell her, hey, I would rather you keep it within our culture. You don't have to be disrespectful to get your point across, but because so many people are just malicious and they just want to be, they take it as an opportunity to express their maliciousness, their racism. And what's also disturbing is the desperation and the quickness with which they have that desire to express that. Like, how long did you have that one locked and loaded, Hulk? Anyways, another person said, reading these comments, man, people really defending what he said as something he said out of anger. Just because you're mad does not mean you need to start saying racist mess. Also, being mad is not an excuse, nor does it make it okay by any means. I have been a fan of his for a long time until this incident, end quote. And another thing, once again, people justifying him saying, oh, he doesn't want his daughter to date somebody black. He has that right because that's his daughter. Any other time, this dude would watch his raggedy mouth so that he could keep making the kind of money that he's making, getting the endorsements, making sure that his image stays squeaky clean. But when it comes to disrespecting black people, oh, he didn't care about his image. He threw that in the trash. That was all the way on the table. No exceptions, no questions asked. That's how I know, once again, he did this with intention. He was being racist, and he really thought, because of who he is, this is where the arrogance comes into play, that people were going to let him get away with it. He really thought he was still operating in a time frame where he would be able to get away with something like that. Not in the age of technology where they're canceling people left and right, even for the slightest of things. But you saying the N-word, you need to be permanently canceled, like for real. That's just the truth. Another YouTuber started off their comment by mocking what she said. It's not who he is. Like he didn't say blatantly that I'm a racist to a point. No amount of low in your life can make you say those kind of things. He's an old racist, end quote. And that's one of the worst kind, the old ones. Because they go all the way back to, or they want to go all the way back to that, pre-slavery being abolished time. That kind of racism, that brutal, horrendous, satanic racism. And that's not to say that some of that still don't exist today, because it just does. They're just better at hiding it. And make no mistake, racism has always been satanic. It's of the devil. Although back in the day, they had an extra spin to it, if you get my drift. Another person called out the gaslighting by saying, and I quote, "Before anyone says anything like, oh, but the daughter never said these words, she doesn't have to. Her father said a slew of racist rhetoric to which his ex-wife agreed to." His daughter, in an interview about this, instead of condemning the statements or him, she resorts to gaslighting the audience by saying he didn't truly mean it. He was at a low point in life at the time. He's not really racist. You wouldn't want your lowest point to be filmed or recorded. Like, get the heck out of here. I heard the tape. It was hardly an angry, out of control rant. He was talking comfortably in a secluded space, from the sound of it, with people that share the same sentiment. Complacency from the daughter and the ex-wife make them just as racist as Hogan. I said what I said, end quote. And I agree with that 100%. They're 100% right. And once again, it's the gaslighting that's disgusting. And this is why there's such an issue when it comes to this topic. Whenever we point it out and people want to say, oh, that's not the truth. Oh, that's not what they said. Blah, 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 this. Now, of course, Hulk Hogan is the type of racist white man that's so racist that has made other white people upset about it. And there are white people calling him out. So we're not going to play these games and make it seem like, oh, all of his white fan base and white people are supporting him and gaslighting people. No, it's not. Because there's a lot of white people that are sick of him because of these kinds of incidents. Well, not incidents, because of these kinds of raggedy moments that he has portrayed himself in. And this is why whenever I talk about interracial relationships, I make a note to let everybody know I have nothing against people dating outside their race. If that's what you want to do, you do what you want to do. Just make sure that person that you're with actually loves you, that God wants you to be with them, that you love them, that you're sure that your life is supposed to be spent with them, that they're actually the one for you to be with. Although, whenever it comes to dating outside your race, there's a certain responsibility that you have to that other person, especially, we're going to tell the truth, the white person of the relationship. You have a special responsibility that you would not have dating another white person. You have a different level of accountability that's going to be a little more difficult because of the country we live in, how some people feel about white people and black people dating. So if your parent comes out and says the N-word, you have a responsibility, that person who you claim that you're with who's black, to basically tell your parent you're wrong for what you said. You know I care about that person. You have your opinions, I have mine, but you won't disrespect them, especially not while I'm with them. But if they don't do that, then clearly that person does not love you. Can we really have an honest conversation about interracial dating? If your non-black partner does not defend you as a black person, when their parents, their friends, whoever it is, their family members are making racist comments to their face about you or your race, they do not love you. They do not care about you. They just want to screw you. They probably only see you as a fetish. Can we be 100% honest? Because I've seen white people defend black people, especially the black people that they're dating, when their family decides to be racist. Yes, I love you. You're my father, mother, brother, sister, friend, whoever, although you will not fix your raggedy mouth to make those kind of comments about anybody who's black, let alone somebody who I'm in love with or who I'm with. But there you go again. She clearly did not love this guy. And whoever he is, I hope he's not still messing with her, because that would be just stupid. If her whole father showed you who he is and she defended him, then you know who she is. For you to still be messing with her, I said what I said, you're a dummy. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of people who have gotten hurt or even lost their lives in those kind of situations, overlooking that kind of stuff that their partner does, allows, or defends. And as a result, their entire life gets blown up because of it. They get hurt once again or even deleted because they chose to be more infatuated with the person than to use the brain God gave them to make the decision to walk away from that relationship, knowing that person really did not care about them, knowing what kind of person that they were after they were shown. Let's use wisdom and discernment, make the right decisions despite your feelings. Get out of your feelings and your carnality, make the right decisions when it comes to that kind of stuff. Another person on YouTube said, and I quote, "My dad says racist stuff behind closed doors, but he's not a racist. Who do these people think they are?" End quote. And who do they think we are? Again, playing in our faces, and I don't appreciate it. Now, another person called out something she said, and I quote, "He's an easy target. You kidding me?" End quote. And they said that because that was something she said in a little interview that she did, chalking up her father, saying the N-word up to, oh, he's an easy target after he got the backlash that he got. No, he's not an easy target. And if he did, he made himself one by saying that, and two, he was the one who decided he wanted to be front and center. He wanted to be the top man where WWE was concerned. He wanted to make all the money. He wanted to be, like I said, on the top. So even if he was an easy target, he made himself that by being money hungry, position hungry, and being a blatant, flaming racist. And I brought up him being money hungry and position hungry for a reason. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Now, people were going in on him whenever he came out there during that Netflix, whatever it was. They were booing him. Somebody said, and I quote, "Waited 30 years to hear Hogan finally get the reception he always deserved." End quote. Another person said, and I quote, "The Vince McMahon documentary exposed Hulk Hogan for the sleaze that he is. I love this." End quote. Now, if y'all don't know about that, so they did make a documentary exposing Vince McMahon. There was a lawsuit that a young woman filed. Y'all, I don't think people are really ready to see what was going on with these people behind closed doors down there at WWE. It was basically like the wrestling version of the freak-offs, the alleged freak-offs that Diddy was having. And it was some disgusting and dehumanizing things that was going on with that man and those people down there, again, at WWE. And I wanted to go over it in a separate video, but I don't know. I don't even know if I want to get into those details. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. I'm going to have to think it over. Another person said, and I quote, "Hulk, let me tell you something, brother. Fans, no, we good." End quote, which did sum up essentially all of what was going on. And another person doubled down on that by saying every time he tried to, win them over, they just kept booing him even more. He came out, they booed him. Then he tried to do the little, "oh, let me tell you something, brother" thing. They booed him again. They really were not trying to hear what he had to say. Another person said, and I quote, "Hulk Hogan, what you gonna do, WWE fans?"
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Like I said before, they were not having it. Another person said, and I quote, "Real wrestling fans don't respect Hogan, not for his national politics, but his politics behind wrestling. He's not a good guy. He was also selfish, deceitful, and not liked by the boys in the locker room. He is just a tired out gimmick." End quote. Another person said, and I quote, "He was one of my heroes as a kid. It sickens me as to how much of a fraud he's turned out to be." End quote. Another person said, and I quote, "I agree with Dave Bautista. Hogan deserves to be booed by the fans." They brought this up because allegedly Dave Bautista said in a sit down that he was in agreement with the fans booing him, that he deserved it. Another person said, "Hulk Hogan is the new poster boy of never meet your heroes." End quote. I wouldn't say he's the newest one, but he's certainly one of them, because there's many of them. He's certainly one of them. Another person agreed and said Hogan deserves all the hate. Not only did he cut down his fellow wrestlers, he's a screaming racist. Batista gets all the love and remains much more relevant. Another person said, and I quote, "I hate when people blame alcohol for their ignorant comments. If anything, thank the alcohol. It always brings the true feelings out of people." Now, I say thank the Lord whenever people expose themselves, because they're so lacking in self-control and integrity. They really be doing it to themselves. Although it is true that, when people are angry, when they're offended, or when they've been drinking too much, they decide to get loose lips. One more comment on YouTube concerning the situation that sums it up very well, and also goes back to what I was saying before about being behind closed doors. And I quote, "The other day I heard someone say, at least Hogan is an honest racist." And I'm like, what are you even talking about? Behind closed doors, he literally says the words, "I'm a racist." On his apology tour, he says he's not a racist, never could be, and gives a laundry list of phony excuses for why he said racist mess. "It was a private moment," they quote. "Yeah, Hulkster, that's the point. Who you are in private is who you are. Who you are in public is just who you want us to believe you are. We're not marks, and you can't do kayfabe in real life, brother." End quote. And what they mean by that is, you can't fool us with an illusion of who you want us to think you are. The whole you trying to be something that you're not. We're not falling for the facade, so to speak. Once again, he's calling him out for having the backbone, almighty, if you will, to be racist in private and then try to lie to cover it up, and people gaslight people by saying, oh, he's an honest racist, at least he was honest. No, he wasn't honest. We only knew because he said it in private, and the private conversation got exposed. If that had not happened, we would never really know the real him. Maybe we could pick up on some cues here or there. But he was never actually honest about it. If he was really honest, he would have came out and said after that, "Oh yeah, I said those things. It's true. I don't like black people, especially black men messing with my daughter." But he had to be a racist and a liar. Now, if he was a decent person, he would have said, "Okay, yeah, I did say that. That is how I feel. Although I know I'm wrong, taking accountability, being a decent human being. I'm wrong. I was wrong for saying that. Stop defending my wrong actions. I'm going to do better. I'm going to learn, and I'm going to change my attitude towards people who actually supported my career before this came out about me." Once again, I'm glad this person doubled down on who you are in private, once again, is who you actually are. Nobody cares about, oh, well, he didn't say it in public. He will eventually. Once again, if he gets too drunk, he gets mad, he gets offended, he feels like he has the right to say it, he gets comfortable enough. Whatever you do, whatever mindset you have, whatever you let slip out, whatever character you show when nobody's watching, that is who you are. That is who you'll always be unless you change it. Again, it's just a matter of time before you slip up and show it in public. The reason why he put apology in quotation marks, for all of those who don't know, is because that apology, which I'm also putting in air quotes, y'all just can't see me, that he issued, that he put out whenever he did that video, that interview, whatever you want to call it, was one of those, what I call a not apology, because he was not sorry for what he did. He meant exactly what he said. He only did that interview video, once again, whatever you want to call it, to try and smooth things over so he would reduce the backlash he was getting from everybody he was getting it from, and then gave nothing but excuses to justify what he did and make it okay, so we all could seem like we were crazy for calling him out about it and having a problem with it. And also, let me say this before I go into my next point, which has to do with the next point. The audacity of him using brother, a term of endearment in his little slogan, if you will, that he usually says. The audacity of him to say that when he did not treat the people around him who were his friend, who he should have treated like a brother. Now, remember I talked about I would speak more on him being power hungry, money hungry. These comments that were talking about him backstabbing people, his shady reputation and attitude towards his fellow wrestlers, throwing people under the bus, not being a guy's guy, if you will. Well, remember Jesse Adventura? Remember he did that sit down where he explained how he Hulk Hogan single-handedly ruined their chances of being able to unionize. He did a whole segment in depth with Graham Bessinger. This is just a snippet, but listen to how Hulk Hogan did somebody who was his friend at one point in time.
You and Hulk were once good friends.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood of that ever being repaired?
Never.
Why?
Can't trust him. I'm not friends with anyone I don't trust. I have to have a trust with someone to be their friend. And he's the one that ratted me to Vince when I tried to unionize. I found that out under federal deposition when Vince was put under sworn, and he didn't hesitate at all. I told my lawyer the story, and in deposition you could ask about anything. And so I wanted to know who ratted me in the locker room, because there were no agents, no one from the office was in there when I did it. So it had to be one of the boys. And when my attorney said, Mr. McMahon, has there ever been a union in wrestling? And Vince said, no. He said, has anyone ever tried to? And Vince said, well, I think Jesse Ventura spouted his mouth off about it once before. And my attorney said, did you hear Mr. Ventura? No. Well, then how do you know he did? With no hesitation, Vince went, Hulk Hogan told me. And I didn't show any emotion, but I almost tipped over in the chair because he was my friend. And I thought, but then I understand why. When we went to court, I saw in WrestleMania 3, Hogan got paid more than all of us combined. Now, why would he want a union when he's getting taken care of? Imagine that, WrestleMania 3, 93,000 people, and he got more than Andre the Giant and all the rest of us combined. If there was a union, would that happen? No.
What communication did you have with Hulk after you found that out?
None. I've never spoken to him since and don't intend to.
Did he ever try and
Why would
reach
he
out
bother? Why would he bother with me? He's dealing with Hulkamania. The only time he made contact, he wrote a book when I was governor, and he was coming here once to do a book signing, and he wanted to make sure I wouldn't get him arrested. So he actually had Vince McMahon contact me as governor. And you know what I told Vince? I said, you tell Hulk, believe it or not, I have more important things on my mind than him. I said, I know it'll destroy his ego to hear that, but I don't think of him on a daily basis.
What did Hulk Hogan say about steroids that bothered you?
He said he never took them. That was a lie. Actually, when he was here in Minneapolis, that's who you went to get him from.
Really?
Well, he'll say that's not true. But for him, the common laugh used to be when he used to tell the kids to say their prayers and take their vitamins. In the dressing room, we'd always laugh and say, orals or injectables, when he'd tell them to take their vitamins, because a slang term for steroids is vitamins.
Now, I've included some pictures of people talking online about the importance of a union, especially where wrestling is concerned, how that actually could have helped some of these people. One of these comments said from YouTube, and I quote, if wrestlers had unionized, I imagine 80% of those we lost too young would be alive right now. First off, because their finances and medical expenses would be taken care of. They'd all have pensions. Wouldn't have to drive on their own dime to do 300 shows a year. Wouldn't have to turn to medicating themselves to stay awake and work through the pain. The audience would still be there. Because where there is a demand, there is an audience, end quote. And this reminds me, I can't remember the name of the wrestler, but there was a wrestler, if you all remember, who dropped unalive. Wasn't it during one of the performances? Like a year after he was working for them, or a year after he made some kind of comment to the effect of every heart beats, something like that. It was his long speech that he gave. And I think like a year later, he dropped from like a heart attack. And it would beg the question, okay, who was his doctor? Who was in charge of all things medical related where he is concerned? Didn't WWE have a doctor on board? Weren't they supposed to have some kind of insurance on their people? Weren't they supposed to be making sure that their people were healthy, okay, to be going out there? Because there's no telling what some of these people were taking. You just heard that one person say they had to self-medicate, allegedly, some of them. Some of them had to work through pain. So there's no telling what some of these people were taking, what they were going through, what kind of medical issues they had. And if y'all think that WWE gave a good goddamn about that, think again, unless you were Hulk Hogan, somebody bringing in buku amounts of money. And you heard Jesse Ventura say that, well, he alleged, I gotta say alleged, that dude was using, as he says, supplements or vitamins, if you will, which gives vitamins, actual vitamins that's good for the body and supplements for the body, a bad rap, which is really crappy because you have people out here who really need that stuff but won't take it or look into it or do research because of people who have these kind of misconceptions or, like he said, slang where they're actually using steroids instead. It's really messed up. Anyways, though, you heard him saying that he was using that stuff, if you will. So once again, if they had a union, they probably could have regulated this a little bit more. If they had some kind of regulations to some degree, some kind of entity, they could say, oh, you will not use these particular drugs. You're going to do this the right way. You're going to bulk up the right way. You're going to get strong the right way. You're going to do everything the right way. Now, once again, there's, a kind of back and forth on the internet, sort of like a thread, if you will, talking about the union, why basically Vince McMahon wanted to oppose that union. And it's because unions are not going to let people like Vince McMahon, big corporations, get away with doing things they've been getting away with for a while now. And also where Hulk Hogan is concerned, him being at the top, making all the money, as you'll see if you read through these comments, they discussed it would have made it to where everybody would have more than likely had to get paid on an equal playing field, on a level playing field, which means they would have to probably pull some money from somewhere else. Somebody might have gotten a pay cut. He might have been probably one of those people. Just like the guy said, who would have benefited the most from it not being an equal playing field and somebody, Hulk Hogan, staying on the top? He would have benefited from that the most. He didn't want it to be an equal playing field. He wanted to be the one on top all the time, making all the money. He said that dude was making more money than all of the main people combined, and he wanted to keep it that way. He didn't care about, the rest of the people who were working probably just as hard as him were not making nearly as much as him, just because he was a little more popular. He didn't care about that. He didn't care about them either. And it's sad that man called him a friend, only for him to stab him in the back like that. Nobody was trying to throw stones at Hulk Hogan. They just wanted the things that's going on down there at WWE to be a little more fair. But he said, screw that. I want to be better than all of y'all. I want to make more than all of y'all. I don't care about none of y'all. That's basically what he said. And I know some people might say, well, he didn't say that actually. He didn't have to say it. He said it with his actions. Once again, he wasn't a guy's guy, if you will. He was looking out for no one but himself. This is why, once again, a lot of people also don't like him. So all these people that's trying to gaslight people, once again, we're bringing it back to that and make it seem like, he wasn't a horrible person for what he said. Not only is he a racist, but he's a backstabbing individual. He's not here for anybody. He's only here for himself. Once again, he's shown this multiple times. And I've said before, if they're racist, they're probably something else that's not good. Once again, you can tell if he say something like that, he'll do something like stab his supposed friend in the back to keep his position, making all this money while they're all falling by the wayside, fighting for fairness. Once again, do not meet your favorite celebrities. They are not your heroes. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.